It's Tia. It's been a Mississippi minute, but we bite, baby.
What's up, Pynk Posse? It's your girl, Ja. And yup, we back at it like a crack addict.
It's your girl, Jiggy, a.k.a. Tanika. Listen, pull up on us. It's time to cut up, because we back.
What's up, Pynk Posse? It's your girl, Kogi, and we're back. Pynk Sunday Radio.
Well, hello. Thank you guys so much for joining us on Pynk Sunday Radio. We have a very, very special guest today, but before we bring her in, I want to make sure we let everyone know who's on the phone. So we have my lovely co-host, Ja.
Hey, Pynk Posse.
Tia.
Hello.
Okay, a little extra tune there. And Tanika.
Hey, y'all.
All right. So let me bring in Miss Shamika Cotton.
Hey, everybody. Hey, y'all.
Hello.
Hey, Miss Shamika.
Hello.
How are you?
So happy to have you here.
I am so glad to be here. Thank y'all for having me. Y'all are amazing. Hello.
Thank you. We appreciate you. We appreciate you so much for joining us today. I think the first thing I would like you to do is tell our audience a little about yourself.
Oh, well, I guess some of y'all may know me from PValley. I played Farrah in season 2. So I am an actor, a storyteller, to say the least. But yes, and I'm so glad to be here.
Of course.
Glad to have you.
Indeed, but I do want to say you've done so many other things, Shamika, that I think our audience, because we all watch a lot of TV around here, and so just looking over all your work, I mean, The Wire, Hello, a lot of us, I know specifically the host, Tanika and Tia, and myself, we love The Wire. I mean, rest in peace, Michael. I really want to know about your experience, season 4, playing the character Raylene, and just give us a little insight on your experience with Michael, but also your role on that. How did you get the part?
Oh, my goodness. So, yeah, I've really been blessed to be a part of some groundbreaking shows and groundbreaking experiences. And The Wire was one of the first in my career. It really was a launching, a job that kind of like launched me outside of my theater experience, but kind of launched me into TV. I was a fan of the show. I was kind of like a late fan of the show. There was always these not rumors, but this talk about this show called The Wire that was on. And all these actors in New York were, getting a chance to be on this show. And I think some of you may remember that when it first came out, it had a season, and then it disappeared for a little bit. And so I didn't really discover The Wire until it was like in season 2. And I happened to have HBO at the time, and that was kind of around the time when everybody was just starting to binge watch things. That was kind of the new thing. It was to start binging shows, and I binge watched The Wire, season 1, season 2, and I was like, oh my gosh, now I see what everybody was talking about. I was captivated by the stories, the truth, the rawness, and I was like, I want to be a part of this show. And so, I started to see, who was the casting director for it? And the casting director in Baltimore was Pat Moran. And so I started just sending her postcards and sending her updates about different things that I was doing in terms of my career. At the time, I was working with the Classical Theater of Harlem, so I would always let her know, like, I'm in this play right now, or just doing a lot of regional theater in the New York area, because this was early on in my career. I had been in New York for probably about maybe 5 or 6 years. So I had been pounding the pavement for a while. And so if I wasn't working on a show or in theater, I was in acting class. And I was always just in touch and letting them know what I was doing. And so one day I was temp jobs. And I remember telling the woman that I was working with, I was like, oh, my gosh, there's a show called The Wire. And I was like, I really want to work on that show. And so I left work that day, and I went to a dance class, because I always like to, keep my instrument in shape. And I just love dancing and singing, and music for me. And by the time I got to dance class, I had a call on my phone, manager saying that they wanted to see you in Baltimore tomorrow to audition for The Wire. And I was like, what? I was like, oh my gosh, it's finally happening. And then I was like, oh, I'm about to be a girlfriend. I'm about to be a detective. And so they was like, yeah, it's for a woman. She's strung out on drugs. She's on crack. And I was like, wait a minute. This is not what I had envisioned. And so I was like, man, I was a little kind of disappointed, because I was like, wow, this is my chance to be on the show, and I'm not going to be able to book this role, because I felt like, and at that time I was doing a lot of work in soaps, or really trying to work in the soaps. And so in my mind, I was like, they are not going to ask me, first of all, as this woman with children, right? The storyline was, I think that Michael was 16 at the time, and she was on drugs. I'm like, this is my one shot, and this is what I, get called in to do. And so I was like, well, I thought about it. I went to class, and after class was over, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take the shot. So I got home. I called a friend I had at the time, and I said, I got to play this drug addict. But I started doing some research, and I got to Baltimore, and I think I might have had to be there in the afternoon or whatever. And so that night, looking for people who were on drugs for me to talk to and start to get some of their story. But that day, it was so cold, so no one was out. And so I was like, man, okay, so let me go back home. Let me sit back at my computer. Let me do some research. And I'm researching, and I'm taking on the physical condition, and practicing that. And I was up all night preparing. And finally I got a train early the next morning. I was like, you know what? I'm going to stay in character the whole time. This is my shot. I got to really go 1,000%. And so I had created this character backstory. I put on some raggedy jeans, and I had some little trinkets I had around my apartment that I put in my pocket. I stopped by the bodega, got me a Lucy, all these different things that I created for the world of this character. And I remember when I got to Pat Moran's office, I walked in there, and it was like you could hear a pin drop. Everybody just stopped and looked at me. And there were children there auditioning. They were with their parents. And you could see the parents kind of like, clenching their children a little bit tighter, like, oh, my gosh, who is this person that just walked in here? They really called in a real drug addict. But I was just like, well, if this is my shot to be on this show, I've got to go 1,000%, right? I've got to, I think, I didn't even bathe that day. I brushed my teeth. But, I was like, I got to really stay committed. And I let my hair be all messed up and everything. And I was just really committed. And then I went into the room, and I think I might only had 1 or 2 lines in my audition. And I think it was, y'all learned something today? What y'all learned? And I went in there and I did that, and Jim McKay was like, okay, all right, thank you. And so that was that, and the rest is history. I got on the show. But what's so interesting is that I wasn't supposed to be recurring. at the time.
That's
when
what
I
I
finally
was just about to ask.
When I first shot it, I was so like, Lord, let me do a good job. Let me, stay connected to my character. And just, this was like a big shot for me. So I was just happy to be there. And I remember talking to Jim, and he's like, so we have this idea, that your character, that she may come back and she may have these stories. But from being in the business at that time, there was always these opportunities that you hear about that's going to happen, then they don't happen. So when he said that, I kind of dismissed it. I was like, okay, yeah, whatever. It would be great, but I kind of dismissed it. And lo and behold, they would just keep calling me back. And I never had the full script, so I didn't know what was happening in Michael's story or in the overall season. They would only send me my pages. So I was just going along for the ride. Mhm.
Oh, wow.
So is the first time you saw, like, his story was, like, watching it yourself?
The first time, yes, exactly. Like, I had only seen, like, the scenes that I was in literally. So I didn't see how it was fitting into the arc. So I'm getting these sides and I'm piecing together things and just showing up to do what I have on these 2 or 3 pages of dialogue. And that's one of the things about being an actor. Sometimes a lot of times you have to bring that character off the page, and you got to make the most with what little bit that you have. So, so that's how she fit into the story. So, and I think I'm kind of grateful that I didn't know all of that, like in hindsight, because it allowed me to just focus on what I was doing and not really know what I wasn't supposed to know, to be surprised and stuff like that. So, yeah, I'm pretty grateful for that.
So through the grapevine, I heard that you have an engineering degree, which is a very technical degree and very different from the more creative world of acting and entertainment. Were you planning on doing engineering and you were just acting on the side, or were you always interested in acting and you went and got this engineering degree in case acting didn't work out?
Let me just say to the listeners out here, let me tell you, these ladies do their homework, okay? They have been pulling clips and sharing stuff about me. I'm like, okay. And I appreciate that. I so appreciate that. Y'all are amazing.
Thank
so
you.
Let me tell you, okay. Yes, y'all must know that these are quality, top quality. All right. So I went to an art school. So I was born in Cleveland but raised in Cincinnati. So I attended a performing arts school in Cincinnati. And so it's called the School for the Creative and Performing Arts. And so it's a very rigorous program that prepares you for jobs and careers in entertainment. And so it's like you can't do anything what you're doing in that program. And when I was in the program, my focus was on theater, vocal music, playing the flute, and then musical theater. And so you had to always be in a production. You couldn't have side jobs. Like, how when you're a teenager, you can get jobs and stuff while you go to school. You couldn't do that because you were always performing. And so after a while, I started to want to do something else. And then some things were happening at school and at home, and it happened to coincide at the same time. And I left the arts. But the arts never left me. But when I left that school, I realized that I was good in math. I realized that I was good. I started out with geometry, and I was able to pick up those concepts, and it was really fascinating to me. Algebra and then geometry. I had a tutor for algebra, and I realized I was good in math. So when I transferred, I went to a school called Withrow High School, and they had this really advanced program called the International Baccalaureate Program, and they prepared you for AP classes and college prep type classes. So there I focused on chemistry and literature and French. So I started to find more of my academic side as opposed to side and really focus on that. And both of my parents were very entrepreneurial and also very technical and savvy. And I always had this thing where I always wanted to be like inventing things and creating things because I am a creator at my core, which is why I'm an artist. And so I was like, I think I'm going to look into engineering because at the time they were giving out a lot of scholarships for Black women that wanted to go into the fields of science or math. This is before STEM and this is way before STEAM, right? And since I was a first generation college student, the only way that I was going to be able to go to college was through scholarship. And so I remember I went to Kentucky State to look at their chemical engineering program. And I remember going there, I was like, oh, this is a snooze fest. I do not want to do that. And so then I was like, well, what other kind of engineering could I do? And I remember, like, I had this little robot that I got from Radio Shack. I might be dating myself, but that's okay. And it was Robbie Jr., right, this robot. And I was like, I want to do robots. I want to build robots. I want to do things that's like automation. And so then I discovered mechanical engineering, and then that led me to manufacturing engineering, which is a combination of mechanical, industrial, and electrical engineering. And that program was a really great program at Central State University in Wilberforce, Ohio. So I got a chance to start to discover that side of me and to really have fun with it. And yes, I had let go of the arts, and I was interning every summer with this really wonderful program called Inroads. I interned at these really great companies. It was 9 West, Square D, which was an electrical company, and then I started interning at Ross and Purina, which is a company that makes pet food. I would go every summer to Davenport, Iowa. And I remember being there one summer and standing in the break room looking across the parking lot at the plant in my bum cap and my steel-toed boots and my khakis and my button-up. And I was just like, oh, God, there's got to be more to life than this for me. And so I started to play with the idea of getting back into the arts. And so I started taking acting classes over the summer while I was there interning. And by the time I got back to my senior year at Central State University, I had some free time because I was wrapping up my curriculum for engineering. And so I started to supplement that time with acting classes and finding different programs in the area, community theater in the area I could participate in. And then one of my sorority sisters, she moved to New York the year before I graduated, and she was a part of the NBC Page program. And she invited me to come to New York to visit her. And I said, okay, I'm going to visit her, and I'm also going to see if maybe I'm going to move to New York after I graduate. And so I came here. I fell in love, and I knew that I was going to be turning down the offers that I had for engineering to take a chance on getting back into the field of being an artist, of acting. And so and then I came here, and the rest is history.
Love that.
I love that. I was in Inroads, too, and also had a science and engineering scholarship, so I know exactly what you're talking about. I clearly don't do anything in that field today, but I did have a great time in school getting it.
It's an amazing program. I'm giving opportunities to students so that they can, work and learn and be all that they can be. So, yeah.
So I see that you've been doing – I've got a chance to come in on some of your conscious conversations, the lives on Instagram, and I really enjoyed how you would get down into those episodes and break down like the meanings of the things that were going on. And so I wondered, what got you started on that? What encouraged you to create the conscious conversations pieces around the roles that you play in the television shows?
Wow, that is such a wonderful question. And I think we all, you at Pynk Sunday Radio, you all also understand how wonderful the writing is, first of all, on PValley. Like, there's so much to unpack, right?
Yep.
and you understand the power of conversations and just wanting to talk about this stuff. And I remember when I was, watching season 1 because I was a fan, and then once I got brought into the show and I really started to think about it deeper, I was like, I would love to have a conversation with one of my spiritual teachers about what are some of the metaphysical aspects from the show, like what are some of the deeper meanings, right? And I said, well, maybe I could ask Rev Cherie Thompson if she would like to, just join me and have a conversation. And I wanted to pick her brain and see what she saw, because really, conscious conversations is my way to have a conversation with Rev Cherie Thompson and become a better person. Her insight, her perspective is just so valuable to me, and I always feel so enriched. Like, this is a show that I would sit and tune into to hear her talk about. And so I was like, okay, well then, Shamika, you're the one that's supposed to host it. And so bring her on board to do it. So really it was my opportunity to be able to see a deeper meaning in the themes of the show, and have someone who is so brilliant like Rev Cherie Thompson to share her thoughts and bring more people into that conversation. And so that is what I saw a need. I loved to see. And since it wasn't out there, it was like, well, Shamika, you have to create it and you have to hold that space. And it just came to me organically, I think, out of just one day. I think I was just sitting in meditation and just having my inner conversation, and the thought just came to me. And I saw the thread and I followed the thread, and it led me to Rev Cherie, who I didn't know at the time. But she used to have a podcast called Conscious TV, right? And so that just showed me how synchronistic and how, kind of divinely ordered things can be, right? You can be led to, the perfect team and partners to bring things into existence, into expression. So it was pretty magical how that all came about. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I love that.
I love that. And just to piggyback off of what Ja was saying, and you being a fan of the show, so my question is for you, how did you get the role? Did you audition? Did Katori approach you?
Let me tell you, and when I first got the audition, it's so interesting. I was doing a show in the Meatpacking District. It was an off-Broadway show, and it was one of the first shows to come back during the pandemic. So one of the first theatrical experiences to be happening.
Oh, Harrelson. With Willie Harrelson?
No, that was 2012 or 13. No, the pandemic. Recently. Okay. But what about Wood? But no, I did work with Wood for a summer, and it was magical. It was amazing.
I was just saying, that was amazing. That's what I was like. Was it amazing? Okay.
Yes.
That was my question.
That was a summer to remember. And, oh my gosh. So that's a whole nother story. We can come back to that. But
Okay.
Yeah, it was such a special time. But so the pandemic. So remember, there was no theater happening because of the pandemic, and so I was doing this show called Seven Deadly Sins, and it was with this theater company called Tectonic. And what happened was we had this is a long story to get to the answer to your question, but people would come by these different storefronts, and each of the storefronts would be one of the seven deadly sins. And my sin for the piece that I was doing, and they would wear headphones because in contact with the actors, right? And so the sin that my story was wrapped around was sloth. And it was a very fun and naughty show. And one of the other shows in the program, I think it was Lust, had this really wonderful piece with a dancer, a pole dancer, and we all took a class and everything, and it was so much fun. And so when this role came up, before I even saw the character, I was just like, I just had this really fun class with Donna, who played the character in Seven Deadly Sins that for Lust. She taught the pole dancing class, and I was a hot, burning fire mess, okay? Y'all, the pole and me, I'm telling y'all, when y'all saw me in that episode fall off the pole, that was Shamika coming through Farrah, okay? I was just like, okay. I PValley, y'all, there's not, I can't dance. So I was so happy to see that, the character is not one that's in the club dancing. Because I was like, okay, then so I have a chance. And then I saw that she was supposed to be this ice queen. And I'm just like, I don't know if they're going to cast me as an ice queen, because everybody's always like, oh, Shamika, you're so sweet, and that's the thing that us actors do sometimes. It's like, we'll get notices, and we have to really work hard at the mental aspect of not negating ourselves, not rejecting ourselves, right? Like, oh, they're not going to pick me. That's just transparency. A lot of actors have to deal with that, right? Where we say, oh, no. But it's a yes, as it turns out. And so I was like, oh, Ice Queen. And she would have this relationship, with the main character, open marriage. And I was like, okay, sounds very interesting. So let me go ahead. I'm going to do the audition, but I'm not going to be like, it was a lot of auditions coming at the time. And sometimes there are some auditions where you're like, oh, I'm going to wait by the phone because I know that this is the character for me. I was like, this is an opportunity for me to be seen for the show. Maybe there'll be something else in the future, because that happens sometimes, Sometimes they'll see you for a character, and then they'll say, no, not that one, but another one. And so, I did my audition, which, of course, I rocked it because I'm great at auditioning. I love auditioning, but I didn't hear anything. And that happens a lot of times. You pour your soul out into your art, and then you just don't hear anything. But I was so busy working that I had forgotten about it. Do you hear me? I had forgotten about it. So a month later, my manager calls me, and he's like, you got a producer session in 2 days. I was like, for what? And he was like, PValley. I was like, for what role? And he was like, that one you did.
Oh, my God.
I was like, really? They want to see me for that? Okay, I guess, they want to see a lot of people. They, try to make up their minds. So I said, okay, fine. And so they gave me these other, they gave me that scene on the pole. They gave me that scene. And it's so interesting when you're trying to do a self-tape, right? And you're trying to create the world of the scene. And it's like, how do I translate falling off the pole in a self-tape in my apartment, right? So, and also to convey that moment of tenderness that happens when Farrah and Mercedes connect, right? Like, you have to do all of that in a self-tape, meaning there's nobody there. There's nobody there. It's just the reader and you. So anyway, I get to the callback, the self-tape, and it's Katori, who I'm so grateful to see, because I've known Katori for years. We back when I first started, I met her as an actor. We were all going out for auditions, and that Katori told on the day that I rapped. She told a story about how she and I both auditioned for Raylene for The Wire.
What?
And, yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Wow.
We can have a story, Raylene? Oh, my God. Okay.
Yes. And she told the story about how I gave her a ride home back to work. So with whoever I got a ride back with. But I say all that to say that I've known Katori as a fellow actor for many, many years. So, and I had been watching her success, from being an actor. And then I saw, when I first recognized that she was also a playwright was when I went to see this amazing play called Hoodoo Love at Cherry Lane Theater. And yes, anybody know about that play? It was amazing. I was like,
know that Tori was an actress, so you learning something today. But go ahead.
Oh, for sure. Yes, and she was with Buckwald, my same agency. We would see each other in the halls and the offices and everything. Oh yeah, this is the thing.
I knew
a lot
that
of
part,
us.
but
Yeah, you know
wow.
what?
Yeah, I did too.
I knew the acting part. I knew she was an actor, but not these kind of stories. No.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, one of the actors that was in Hoodoo Love that I also was blown away by was Angela Lewis. Like, there's all these connections that people don't realize we've been connected.
Oh my God! Okay.
Snowfall, right? Remember Snow? You know, y'all watch? Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
yeah. Oh, we are into Snowfall. That season finale is next week.
Fans.
We are. Yeah, we are.
Yes. So we're all connected. You have all these New York actors who have been here all these years, pounding the pavement, collaborating, working together. And then we go off to these different areas and we come back and we pull each other up. Right? We're like, okay, come on, now it's time for us to work. And so that is why at my callback when I saw Katori was like, Katori! It was so good to see her on my computer screen for my Zoom callback. And it was so comforting, and I was just so grateful to be able to be seen that she thought of me. So I did and also Patrick was there, and I think Christine, who directed Christine Swanson, she was also there. Christine directed, I forget if it was 203 or 204, but yeah, she was also there, and I did the scene. Right? I felt good. They were like, oh, my gosh, it's great. Even Patrick was like, Patrick, what did he say? He said something about being speechless. Like, anyway, I have to find it. But, yeah, he was just like, so great, right? And I felt so good, right? And then I didn't hear nothing, y'all. Do y'all hear me? Nothing. And I was like,
a whole nother month?
A whole nother month.
Wow.
Do y'all hear me? Do y'all hear a whole nother month? And so, you know, after the callback, you're a little bit more invested. So when you don't hear anything, you know, an audition, you kind of like, oh, okay, whatever. A callback is like, ooh, ow, okay, all right, whatever, let it go. Got to find something else to be doing with my time and my energy. So then a month later, it's actually a day before the month later, a friend of mine calls, and she's like, Tanika, whatever happened with your PValley callback? Like, who did they cast for that? Because I really think that you, from what I saw, because I showed her my audition tape and my callback, because I had recorded it, she's like, I really feel like, I don't know who they could have cast if they didn't cast you. And I was like, well, I don't know. But, you know, I released it. And so then the next day, I had a friend. He needed help with the self-tape. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to help you with your self-tape. And when I'm helping someone do their art, I'm like, I shut off everything. Do not disturb, ringers off. I'm just focused, right? And so by the time I turned my ringer back on after helping my friend, my phone had all these messages. Shamika, call me from my manager. So I call my manager. He's like, oh, hey, you know what? Let me call you right back. And I'm thinking like, well, you know, what's going on, right? He calls me back, and my agent is now on the phone, and that's when they tell me that I had booked PValley. And so y'all, I cried. I did. I cried.
Aww.
Because I felt like I did a great job, and, you know, there's that disappointment, like, well, maybe something wasn't right. So then to have my friend the day before say, like, I don't know, and I was just like, yeah, me neither. And then the next day for them to say, actually, it is you. So it was such a really huge moment, and a moment of extreme gratitude.
Well, we can be our worst critics. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day.
Yes.
Yeah, right? So, yeah. Okay.
And then I got to work after that. I was like, oh, booked it. Okay. Mariska, my acting coach, is about to make magic. And so, yeah, we're about to go on a journey. And I am so grateful for the journey of Farrah. I'm so grateful for all that she's added to my life. There are some characters that you do that really leave an indelible mark on who you are as a person. And Farrah really allowed me to step even more fully into owning myself as an artist and even as an entrepreneur. So I am so grateful to the character Farrah, to the writers, the creators, Katori, everybody, because Farrah has been an absolute gift to me.
I love that. We do have some questions from fans, but I know Tanika, before we do that segment, we have a question from our host, Tanika.
Yes, Shamika, I've been watching and enjoying Dear Edward, so I just wanted you to tell us and the fans a little bit about your character, Cora, and maybe your audition process for that, and if that was the character that you originally auditioned for.
That's such an interesting question. You must know something. Okay, so Dear Edward, y'all, let me tell you, this life of being an artist, you have to really be flexible. You have to be open because things happen out of the blue all the time. Like, there's always something magical. I feel, at least that's my perspective. You know, I love to see magic. I love to experience magic. And so there's always something magical or synchronistic that happens. Now, the story of Dear Edward, for those who don't know, it's on Apple TV+. All the episodes have now aired, so you can go back and watch it. But it follows the life of a young boy named Edward who loses his whole family on a commercial airplane crash. He's a lone survivor. And so the show follows Edward and everyone else who was connected to those who died on that crash. And on that crash was Congresswoman Washington. And so in her storyline, in this storyline, we're trying to figure out how do we carry on the legacy of work that she had done as a congresswoman. And I felt as her chief of staff that it was my job, my duty to now step up and to carry on that legacy of work, to continue the work, to take the baton, right? However, her granddaughter was feeling the call to also do the same thing, right? So that's for those, I don't want to ruin this. I think I did a good job of not ruining it. So you guys go watch it, you find out what happens. But anyway, so how did I get this role? So I did not audition for this character originally, all right? I auditioned for the campaign manager, right? And that audition for the campaign manager, I had so much fun doing it. Now, that was one where I did the audition, and I was like, oh, they about to call me because I know I played the audition. It was great, right? And so when I didn't hear nothing, my feelings was getting hurt. I was like, wow. And, like, sometimes you let auditions go, but sometimes you're like, well, maybe they kind of, maybe they had a pause in production, so maybe they haven't let everybody know yet. I still had, like, a little bit of, like, that campaign manager. I really felt like that was me. Cut to, no. A month later, I don't know what it is about a month, okay? A month later, y'all, kid you not, I happen to be up early in the morning. And this is the moral of this story, okay, is stay ready so you don't have to get ready, okay? So
Amen.
Okay, whole word. That morning, I was up super early at like 6 in the morning doing another self-tape, okay, because I'm a professional auditioner. That's what I do as an actor. I audition all the time. And so I was up doing a self-tape that was due at like 10 o'clock in the morning. So I had to get up early, hair and makeup. And I had did the audition. And after I submitted it, I got a call from my agent saying, Shamika, you have a producer session today, okay, at 2 o'clock. It was about 2 o'clock. I think it was about 2 o'clock, okay? Mind you, y'all, it's like 10 o'clock in the morning. So a producing session is for what? Dear Edward, oh, sweet, the campaign manager, she came back. I knew it, right? Great. So y'all know the end of the story. I didn't get it. So anyway, so I get the size, and they're like, okay, so you have prepared the same size, right? So I'm preparing the campaign manager. I rewatched my audition so I can remember what I did for it, right? And then we go to connect for the call. And I'm waiting on Zoom to meet with the producers. And we had some connection issues. And so my agent said, Shamika, they want to they're going to send you a new Zoom link, right? The new Zoom link they're going to send is going to be like 30 minutes from now, right? but they gave you the wrong sides. Here are the sides. Excuse me?
Wow.
What? In 30 minutes?
Oh, my God.
Y'all want me to do a whole different character? Okay, I'm a professional. I'm not new to this. I'm true to this. Okay, no problem. I'm like, okay, I got this right. Inside, I'm like, oh, God, what we going to do? What we going to do? And so, and they wanted you to have your own reader. So I had been using this app or this website called We Audition. So I had a community of artists who I had been collaborating during the pandemic in terms of being a reader and having them help me with auditions, me help them. So I had a friend of mine, her name is Chad, and I was like, Chad, remember that audition you helped me with for Dear Edward before? Well, it's another role. Can you help me now? So I had her on start, and I'm just going over these 3 pages of sides, just trying to get them down in 30 minutes. Do you hear me? 30 minutes. And it's so interesting because I recorded me from calling her like, okay, let's do it, to when I finally did the audition with the producer session. And I'm going to tell y'all, I don't know how I did it, but I did it. And they were blown away. And the next day, I found out I was going to be Cora. But stay ready so you don't got to get ready. Had I not been up that morning already in hair and makeup, all ready to do my acting work, it might have been a whole different outcome. I'm just saying.
Indeed. Yep. Listen, we have some friendly questions. Come on. And we was just wondering, can we go ahead and do the friendly? Because, you know, there's a lot of love for you. Okay. Good. Okay. We got a lot of love for you. Okay. So first question is from our family member, Fred. Hey, Fred.
Hey, Shamika. This is Brittany. I do have a question for you. Can you describe your experience working on PValley for me?
I guess I can add on to her question. I know that you've done some nudity because you've been in theater and those types of things. Was this your first intimacy scene experience here on PValley with all of the Farrah Mercedes intimacy scenes?
First of all, everything that I do as an artist is a part of my artistic practice that is steeped in my spiritual practice of just everything I do is just sacred, right? So that's what I brought to the to that scene, to that encounter. I didn't look at it from just the standpoint of just sexuality from, I guess, an exploitive perspective. No, knowing the stories that are told in PValley, knowing the level of the work, it's so much more than that, right? There is a connection, right? There is this thing where you feel seen. To feel seen and to feel recognized, and how does that manifest itself? What happens in that moment? And in some instances, maybe it leads to an intimate connection physically. But first, I think the intimate connection was a mental and a spiritual connection. So I basically, I steeped it in that. And then when it came to the actual physicality of the sex, as an actor, we have this thing called animal work. And so that was me doing animal work to kind of give the physicality of it, kind of to let go in that way, if that makes sense. And I think a lot of the actors out there will understand that.
Love that.
Okay.
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much for being in depth with that answer. I'm sure the family will appreciate that as well. The next question is from family member Dion.
Hi, thank you for taking my question. So looking ahead to the next season of PValley, now that Farrah is a free woman, what are your hopes and expectations for her storyline and her relationship with Mercedes?
You know, oh man, that was such a wonderful relationship. Like, as Shamika outside of Farrah, right? I would love to see Farrah and Mercedes to still have some sort of connection. I think that they birthed something very powerful within each other, whether it's a sexual connection or not, right? Like if we take away that part, I think that they learned more about themselves. I think that the character Farrah really started to come into her own power and to start to share that power. So I'm curious to see what the writers do with that. I would love to see Farrah be a boss, right? Because I know personally in my life, that's what Farrah gave me. Farrah really is kind of like my alter ego of being just a boss bitch. Can I say that? Is this censored?
Yes, you can.
Yes. We love that. We love that. It brings me joy, actually.
Yeah. So I want to see Farrah do more of that, but who knows what these amazing writers and what Katori and them have in store for where the story goes. But in my mind and in my life, I enjoy just kind of ruminating on that idea. And I still get to enjoy Farrah in my everyday life. Like I said, she really inspires me, but we'll see.
Yes, I enjoyed that so much. It pleased everybody how she gave the money and told Mercedes when she was like, "No, this has nothing to do with said, honey. This is your role.
With that man.
This is all
y'all
about."
Y'all was coming for Farrah after episode 206. The hate I was getting was like, you better give Mercedes her money. Run her that check.
I was like, oh no, she didn't use her likeness and not break her off some coin. What is going on here? So when we got to that, I was like, okay, Farrah good with me.
Yeah. Oh my goodness! I was gonna ask you, how was that? The fan response, like, how has that been? Because I know I can't even lie. We were a little bit on your top. We were a little bit on your head about the coins. I can't lie.
And I am not mad at y'all. I tell you, the Pynk Posse, the Pynk family, everybody, that has been one of the beautiful gifts, right? Like, first, it was being able to work with the artists and collaborate with all of the creatives for PValley. But what I didn't think about, and I don't know why I didn't think about this, was the amount of love and support that my character, that Farrah, would get, and how people would just be so invested in the story. Like, that was a whole other experience that was such a gift. When I did The Wire, right, that was before social media was really popping off and people were talking about shows on social media, so I didn't get a chance to really experience it there. But PValley allowed me that opportunity to really see the impact of my work in real time and to see the real world conversations that come from my artistry, and that means so much to me. So that has been an absolute gift just for how you all just, invite me on to talk about my work as an artist. For me, I'm an artist that's just grateful for that, because you all could have been like, who cares? But for you all to be so receptive of my work, which I put a lot into, that is love for me, and I really appreciate it.
Yes, indeed. Thank you so much.
Thank you for that.
So, yes, we appreciate that. George has a question. Now, listen, George, please forgive him, like he said, because, he's a white man and he has a Black woman question, okay? So I just want to preface this.
Okay. Oh, my God.
Blessed Sunday, Pynk Posse family. This is George Miller at Just G, and I'm going to do the one thing that I know I, as a white man, am never supposed to do, which is to talk about a Black woman's hair. But the thing I want to ask Shamika is, I was really taken back in the episode in which she completely changed her hairstyle after leaving Coach. And I'm wondering if that was an intentional decision made by you and the creators to show that there was a change in her life, or if Farrah was just in the mood for a new hairstyle. But for me, it was so radically different and transformational that I felt that the change of her hairstyle was part of the storyline, that in one way she had her hair to fulfill, that in one way she had her hair to please Coach's view of what he wanted to look like, and then afterwards she had her hair done in a way that pleased her. So was this an intentional choice, or was it just something that randomly took place? Thanks.
George, what an amazing question. Yes. Come on, George.
Yes.
We love George.
We love George.
Invite you to the cookout, George. We're going to invite you to the cookout, okay? Okay. But absolutely intentional. Absolutely intentional. And I can't say I made that choice. No, Arlene, our amazing head of the hair department, her and Katori and the writers, that they know what it's like when you have this this change in your life, and it's not even just Black women, right? Remember Brittany did that too. It's a woman thing. It's the thing where you have this energy in your hair, and you need to cut it off to start new. Sometimes you just gotta change something, and the thing that you can change is your hair. And so I really loved that choice by our hair department to say Farrah is making a big change, and the first thing she's going to do is she's going to chop off that hair and start new. So, yes, that was very intentional. And that's what I love about the stories in PValley, is that there's this level of authenticity and truth that doesn't normally get talked about. And now we get to talk about that. Like, yes, that's what we do. We change our hair. We might cut it off. We might dye it. We might, put some braids in it or whatever. But it's a part of our expression, our emotional journey. So absolutely great question.
I always say we cut that man right out of our hair.
I'm going to cut that man right out of my hair. Exactly.
Yes, I did that as well when I cut my locks. People are like, why did you cut your locks? And I always say, it was spiritual. Like, I was going into a new space in life, and like you said, I had to cut that old energy out of my hair. I couldn't hold it anymore.
And sometimes, though, and let's not limit it. It's not even always attached to a man, although a lot of times it is, though. But sometimes it's just a life transition. Someone in your family passes, you cut your hair. Right? You have a big transition in your career. All of those things are attached to the cosmos of your hair, right? Cosmetology, the cosmo energy. So it's very deep. It's deep. But
yeah, our hair holds so much energy, and it's even just changing your hairstyle. Like I always, in the past, I've always said, like, I wear wigs, I wear all kind of stuff, and it's so interesting how people interact, particularly as Black women, if my hair's natural, or if I got a 30-inch bust down, or if I got a bob or whatever. It's so much energy internally, but both externally with our hair and what it says to people.
It is very true, because I've always had long hair, and people have always said, "Oh, your hair is so pretty," and I'm like, "Thank you," and that it came like my identity, like, and so I kind of felt like it was attached to my beauty, or I don't know, it made me feel kind of weird as I got older, and then I just started chopping it off, and it almost felt like people just, I don't know, it's just so weird. But now my hair shaved on both sides. I wear locks a lot and braids a lot, and I don't know, it's actually pretty fucking cool. Can I say that? Okay.
Yeah, come on now. I had the same thing. And when I was younger, before I came to New York, my hair was long. And in the Black community as women, there's a thing where before weaves, where your hair was just naturally long, you have this idea of who you are as a Black woman, and it is attached to how you feel about your beauty and how you're accepted, right? And then so to cut it, right? When I came to New York, my hair was really long, and then I decided to cut it. It became a form of me coming into who I was and letting go of the need to be validated or to be attached to what that long hair represented. So, absolutely.
Exactly. Exactly.
And then going natural.
So
that's
we
a
have
whole nother
one
level.
more. That's a whole nother. Don't let us go natural, honey. Yeah.
Let Farrah come back natural.
Really
come on.
out.
Yeah.
Please.
I would actually love that because
Let's go.
I don't know if anyone else noticed. The only person I've seen have natural hair on the show is Mercedes. That's the only woman on the show that's that. So I would love to see Farrah and some other people, maybe a part of a storyline or just in general, coming back with some natural hairstyles and it being maybe a bonding experience. I don't know. Every time I rewatch it, which is pretty often, I always notice that Mercedes has lots of natural hairstyles, but I don't see that on too many of the other characters.
True.
So maybe like what, peanut butter or something?
Okay. Peanut butter, yeah. Peanut butter
now
and extra, right?
Yeah. Now, it's 4 o'clock, Shamika. We know you had a hard stop. Do you have time for one more family question in a lightning round, or do you have to go?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
Oh, okay. We love this. We love this for us. Okay, last question from family is Kira.
Hi, ladies. A question I have for Shamika is, how do you think Coach and Farrah met, and why is she with him after all of these years?
Yeah. You know, like I said, a lot of times when you get a role, sometimes you have to create a story as an actor for you to connect and to fill in the gaps that the writers may not give you. And so I felt that Coach was a person who at one point recognized my artistry, right? I had this, it wasn't a crazy story, but it's a story that I came up with in preparing for the role, was that at one point he appreciated my art, and he was one of the first people to purchase a piece of art. And like that was the thing that made me say, okay, I'll go out with him. And then we got married, and it became more about taking care of him. And so then I started to push my photography to the background. So I do believe that Farrah and Coach loved each other in the beginning. They absolutely did. But unfortunately, and this is what happens in relationships, sometimes one of the people's lives and careers starts to overshadow the other person. And that shadow, you can get lost in that and being the support, especially if they're the person making the most money in the relationship and they're the person that's allowing you to have a certain lifestyle that you're enjoying, right? And you don't want to lose that. So we can get lost. We can definitely get lost. But I do feel like there was love in the beginning, so it was hard for Farrah to really speak her mind and to stand up for herself and then to walk out, because there was love in the beginning. It just changed.
All right, so it's time for the lightning round. It's time for the lightning round now. So, you know, I don't know. I don't know if you're ready for this one, Shamika. It tends to get a little intense. And, yeah, we just going to put you on the spot, okay? We just going to put you on the spot. I'm gonna let Tia Dia, as I like to call her, I'm gonna let her do round one. Okay, start it off. So
the rules of the lightning round is 2 rounds. We're gonna give you a choice between 2, and we're gonna kind of explain it, but you have to answer with like your instinctual, like knee-jerk answer. The first round, we're gonna compare different characters from your different shows that you've been on, and the second round, we're gonna figure out which one of the P-Valley men you like better from our choice.
Oh, come on, you guys. Okay, all right.
So the first round is, who was your favorite kingpin from The Wire, Avon or Marlo?
Avon all day.
Okay.
So, what is your favorite dance style? The aggressiveness of Mercedes or the gracefulness of Miss Mississippi?
Oh, they're both so good. I'm going to have to go with Mercedes, though, because I can't get that vision out of my head of that Mercedes experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so good.
Mm-hmm.
So watching Dear Edward, I found myself surprised about which relationships I was rooting for. So which relationship did you root for? Amanda and Steve or Adriana and Kojo?
Amanda and Steve. I'm going to say, I mean, Adriana and Kojo was cool and all like fairy tale, but I rooted for Amanda to do what she did, which was to keep it real, to be open. We just here to kind of be there for each other right now. Mm-hmm. Like, I wasn't rooting for them to like be together, but just to feel that need for each other. So, yeah.
Yep, me too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, you know, for me, I have a Sherlock V. Watson over here from Elementary.
Come on.
What is that? So, what are we thinking?
Oh, wait, what's the question?
A Sherlock V. Watson, Elementary.
Who was your favorite detective from the show, Sherlock or Watson?
There you go.
Yeah, it's Sherlock. I love Sherlock.
Yep.
I love Sherlock. Yeah, that's me.
Me too.
I'm
me
more
too.
in alignment with Sherlock. Yeah. He has so many great lines. Oh, he's so good.
Yeah, I always love that emotional, unemotional type character. So, yeah, I love Sherlock, too. Mm-hmm. Okay, so this is round 2. This is the Men of P-Valley. If you had your brothers, who would you choose? Teak or Murda?
Who or what?
Who would you choose, Big Teak or Little Murda?
Teak or Murda. Oh, okay, Big Teak. Okay. I'm going to say Teak because I want to give him a hug.
Oh, I like that. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. And I love J. Alphonse, but this is about, those characters. My heart just like, what he did with that character is amazing. Yeah,
we love Teak.
Love him. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, name or diamond?
Name or diamond? Let me tell y'all something. I was kind of mad at man because, as Farrah, I was like, man, you kind of broaching on my territory here, right, man?
Yeah.
So no. I have to go with diamond.
I love that.
One, okay, man, I'm gonna need you to go kick rocks. But yeah, I'm gonna say diamond.
Okay, Rome or Wody?
Oh, I'm gonna have to go with Wody. Don't y'all love Wody? Mm-hmm. Y'all love Wody?
Oh no, we love Wody.
Totally and completely.
Wody.
Me and Tanika are Wody down. So yes.
I'm Team Wody over here. Okay, serious. Don't leave me out.
Oh my God. Okay, now I don't know. I don't know how you're gonna feel. I'm very interested about this one, Tanika, honestly.
Okay. All right.
Big L or
wait, hold on. Big L or who?
Dusty.
Dusty.
Said they're like great.
I know. She said it like great. Oh,
Dusty, Big L.
Shamika.
Okay.
Okay.
We love Dusty too, but
we love
I'm
Dusty,
on Team
but
Big L.
All day.
Yeah.
Okay, but wait a minute. Now wait a minute, Shamika. Kendra in the chat says she is Dusty all day, and even Chunky Light said She
yeah,
said
the chat
Duffy
is Duffy.
Baby. Like,
so we big L over here. I agree with you, Shamika.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Kendra said big L too.
Oh,
So you buying tickets, Kendra? We'll talk about that later.
I mean, I don't think there's a bad choice with the men of P-Valley. Like, we always talk about that, how they have just done such a great job with the cast of men on P-Valley. They're all, like, just the characters themselves, but they're all just great in all their different ways. So I don't really think it's a bad choice with any of these categories, to be honest.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Everybody plays them so well. Absolutely.
So is there a project that you have going on right
that.
now that you want to leave the family with, that some things coming up that you want to make sure that the Pynk Posse and all our support we plug into? I know that you've got the T3IT internship program, mentorship program going on, but what can we plug into?
Well, y'all can follow me on Instagram, of course, at Shamika Chronicles. But yeah, right now I'm really passionate about my company that I just launched, 1010 Talent and Creative Services. And in that company, I created an internship program to give mentorship, exposure, and access to people wanting to work in the entertainment and media industries. And I'm telling you, this is Farrah. This is a remnant of what Farrah left with me. She was like, Shamika, you better take your art and become an artpreneur and get money for your art in all ways. And also to create opportunities for other people who want to have those type of experiences of being an artist and letting people know how you can be an artist and all the different ways that you can work in entertainment. So I'm really passionate about the internship program. We just finished Cycle 1. We're right now interviewing for Cycle 2 interns. You don't have to be in New York, but you do need to know how to use editing softwares, whether it's Instagram or CapCut or Premiere. You have to know how to make digital art. And we have 6 categories that people can intern in. And I'll just say them really quickly. We have business communications and public relations. Those are for people who want to maybe be a publicist, or you're really passionate about building community and facilitating conversations and messaging. If you love to write, if you have a knack for writing and the turn of a phrase, that's a category you can work in. We have the short film and digital media. That's for our filmmakers and writers who want to just create little pieces of digital art, whether it's shared on Instagram or YouTube, but let's just make some art together. Then there's the brand marketing and research. That's for people who have a knack for the analytics, who know how to do brand partnerships, who love to do things with marketing and advertising. I have over 23 years experience working in marketing and finance. That's the other side of me. And so I would love to have an intern that I can have in that area and to share that skill set with them and to help them grow. And then we also have art direction and production design. That's for people who want to be producers. If you want to be an associate producer, an executive producer one day, you want to work in TV or on TV shows, our art direction and production design interns help to produce conscious conversations. They were working behind the scenes doing the research and things like that. And then I'm trying to figure out, and then of course we have acting interns, but you need to have some training and experience to be an acting intern, but that's a fun category, and teaching and educational arts to help develop the curriculum that we have at 1010. But just follow me on Instagram, Shamika Chronicles. You can DM me if you're interested, or you can email your resume to info@1010talentacs.com. That's spelled out TENTEN talentacs.com. And we will set you up with an interview so you can be a part of Cycle 2. And then in terms of my acting projects, everybody these days has got you signing NDAs. Okay, projects I can't even talk about. But just know that I have some stuff that will be coming out this year that I'm excited about. And I'm just grateful. Thank you all so much for being so supportive of my artistry and being so supportive of PValley and the stories that we tell. We couldn't do it without you all helping us to expand the conversation. So thank you all so much.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much for all your time today, especially giving us these extra few minutes. Go ahead, Kogi.
Yeah. No, I was just saying, I thank you so much for taking out the time, acknowledging the DM. You've been just so lovely and supportive of all our efforts on Instagram, and we really appreciate it. I mean, we do it because we love the show. We love having conversations and really getting in depth with the show because we truly, truly appreciate the art, the writing, the time that it takes for you all to, make such a brilliant piece of work. So we appreciate your time, especially, we're 16 minutes over, and, thank you. Just thank you for coming on with us today.
It has been my pleasure. And I'll be tuning in and supporting y'all in all that you're doing. You all have an amazing team. I don't know if you all know how blessed you are to have each other, to support each other, to get this out, every week. That is a gift. So I hope you all recognize that and keep doing more of what you all want to do because it's needed. We need all the conversations we can get.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, I love our core four. We really lean on each other, and we are very blessed that we have, because this is a lot of work, but we love it.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. All righty. Thank you. Have a blessed Sunday.
All right, you too. Bye, everybody. Thanks for
listening. Bye. Thanks.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
I'm going to go ahead and close us out. I am
Girl.
Tia.
You cut your own self off. What the
Minnie is Max on Twitter and Tia Down in the Valley on Instagram. As you guys know, everything comes to our Twitter, so make sure that you are following and have your notifications on. We have lots of stuff that we're planning right now for the rest of this rewatch, but also in the next rewatch, and you guys will start seeing that. And we're also going to need some audience participation in some of these things, so look out on ways that you can participate. Ja, what you got?
Ja, you on mute, girl?
I sure was. Not me getting gut on the show. Lord, have mercy.
Okay.
It has to happen to the best of us, right? All right. So, as I was saying to myself a few seconds ago, you can find me on Instagram at Ja_the_goddess. I am on Twitter as Ja the Goddess, all one word. And I want y'all to keep your FBI eyes open for that bonus content, okay? Because I think it's about Thursday. You know what I'm saying? Start being on the look for that. Tanika?
Thursday-ish these days, but yes.
So y'all know I'm at your girl Jiggy on Twitter and Instagram. You can follow me on there if you don't already. You can also follow PynkSundayRadio on Instagram if you don't follow there already. Like John and Tia said, those bonus episodes drop Thursday, kinda, maybe Friday, maybe Saturday, who knows. But if you're looking for them, they're on PynkSundayRadio.com, and that takes you to Apple Podcasts. And while you're on Apple Podcasts, if you could just leave us a 5-star review if you haven't already. If you have left us a 5-star review, you can go back and leave us a 5-star written review if you have a little extra time. Kogi, what do you got to tell them?
Okay, you guys, so listen. We're on a lot of platforms, but at the end of the day, we're on every platform now, okay? You can follow at iHeartRadio now, Amazon Music. We're on TikTok. We're at Twitch. We're at everything, okay? Have y'all even followed us on Facebook? Do y'all even know we have Facebook? Listen, if you're on Facebook, go to Facebook and follow us there, okay? Because we plan on doing some shit on Facebook, okay? Now, as far as me, you can follow me everywhere, too. Hell no. Absolutely not. Just hit me up on Twitter and Instagram. That's it. Okay? We appreciate y'all. We love y'all. Thank you for joining us. And look out for all the other things. Yeah, exactly, Chunky. Like, you ain't even know. Facebook. Absolutely. Yeah. Y'all check us out. We live inside. We doing everything over here. Okay? That's it. That's my intro. That's my outro. Period. All right? Thank y'all. Love y'all. Goodbye.
Appreciate y'all for listening to the show. You can find us on Blog Talk Radio by using the link bit.ly/PynkSunday. For Apple Podcasts, go to PynkSundayRadio.com. Make sure after listening to the replay, you leave a 5-star rating in the review, as well as a subscribe. For Google Podcasts, go to PynkSundayRadio.com/Google Podcasts, as well as Spotify at PynkSundayRadio.com/Spotify. Hope to see you at the next episode.